Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creators. It is I, the mayor, Flobo Boyce, in the mayor's office, hanging with people who are much cooler than I. Kim, we're talking about energy and Canada and all these fun stuff. I really feel like I've known you for 30 years. How's it going?
It's awesome. I am freezing.
Okay.
It's too early for snow, and I'm getting way too old for snow. But yeah, I'm awesome. Everything's good.
I've been too old for something for like 20 years. I mean, I moved out to LA. I went to Florida first for college and then moved out to LA before that because I couldn't shovel it. I was over that. My dad would just throw the shovel in the bed and be like, you know what to do. It's go time.
Oh yeah. You know, the most common fear for anybody over 50 in Canada is not death. It's falling on ice and breaking something.
Oh yeah.
It's a standard rite of passage. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I know that have broken an ankle, an elbow, a shin, something on ice.
Yeah, do you admit that, or you come up with a story and say, "Oh man, I was
Oh no, anybody that knows me, I am the most uncoordinated human being that's still alive because everybody less coordinated than me is probably dead." So
wow, that's an
image. I miss the mosh pits because the mosh pits of the 80s was the only way I could dance because I was flailing around doing my Elaine.
Yeah.
But everybody thought I was moshing.
Wait, the Elaine. Oh wait, are you a punk person? Were you a classic?
Oh, I was a punk person, big time in my youth. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Always an outlier. Always
do you still have a pair of Doc Martens in the back, or?
I do. I have my docs. I have docs. I have boyfriend jeans, or now it's like grandpa jeans because of how old I am. I do have pink hair. I love Cyndi Lauper. I love like the Eurythmics. I love New Order, Sex Pistols, Depeche Mode. That was my jam.
Right.
And yeah, I'm not going gracefully. I'm like everybody goes
right.
Ooh. I love, I'm known as unique. Everybody tells me unique, just so you know. I know what the word unique means.
Right, yeah, I get that too. What's interesting is that all those songs were like avant-garde back then, but I play them at weddings now as a DJ. It's like
I know. I want to be the official wedding crasher. Free food, free booze, best music.
Hello. Oh yeah. The thing is, people, if you find a chair, no one ever says anything. You just say you're a cousin of the groom, and it's go okay.
So could I come and like couch surf and just like stay with you and hit all the yeah? Because I'm a great networker. Throw me anywhere, and everybody goes, "Whose aunt was that? Whose grandma was that? Holy shit!"
The first time I tried caviar was at a wedding because it was such low risk, right? So I was like, I'm not buying this. Well, anyway, talk about stuffing our faces. So one of the cool things about having the show is I get to talk to people that are from different walks of life, but it seems like you have all walks of life rolled into one. So you're a podcaster, you're a realtor, you're also a good person when it comes to tasting music. Like, how do you describe yourself at parties? When someone goes, "What do you do?" How do you wrap it up into a nice package?
Basically I help share stories. That's my whole thing. I believe people's stories matter. I believe that we can't learn if we're mute, and we repeat history when we forget. And so I really believe stories matter. And I did real estate for 22 years. So I was top 1% for about 7 of those here in Canada. So yeah, so I did really well. I was very blessed. And being from Kansas to Canada, I mean, I got my early. Yeah, I'm from Wichita. Wichita, Kansas. Yeah. And I got all my early childhood sales training through Girl Scouts, and I crushed it because I was raised broke. I was so poor growing up, and the only way I was going to Camp Sequoia in Wichita, Kansas, which was our summer Girl Scout camp, was if I earned it through selling all the cookies. And I had the best Girl Scout leader ever, Nancy Greenstreet, which I found out years later was actually a real estate agent also. Like, who knew? Wow. I didn't know this until after 10 years after I'd been in real estate. But yeah, with real estate, I was always just sharing a story because at the end of the day, great. It's a house. It's got 4 walls. It has a sink. It has a toilet. It has it has all the same stuff every other home has. But what's the story? How can and what I found after selling 1,500 homes was really fascinating how homes attracted similar people. So if I had a couple that lived in a home for 7 years, they had gotten married and then moved into this house and then had kids, and now they're expanding up into a larger home. The people that came behind and bought that home were
Yeah.
eerily similar to the original couple that bought that home.
Doesn't that
It's
freak you out though? Doesn't it feel like we're all living in a simulation? We're all like, I want this, and it's like the same thing over and over again.
No, I think human beings, we all want the same thing. We just
Oh.
want to be accepted. We want to be safe. We want to be heard and valued. We want to be able to have a family if we choose to have a family, be able to walk our dog in a safe neighborhood if we want to walk a dog or have a dog. Like, I don't think human beings anywhere globally are actually very different.
Mhm.
I think we're all just doing the best we can, right?
I would say
And
so.
that reflects in the housing, that reflects in cars. I mean, that reflects in everything. That's why what was it? Starbucks did that incredible, crazy, I'm gonna design the pumpkin pie spice latte, and they actually built out their avatar right down to a name, and I think it was like Tiffany or something like that. Nothing personal if you're Tiffany, but that was like that drink was made for you, and they identified what her economics were, what her, designation in life, how if she had kids, and they literally built this drink and the marketing right around that. And
Yeah.
it's because at the end of the day, we all aren't very different.
That was a hot time in marketing. That's when I was in marketing in like the early 2010s, where it's like the buyer persona, but they were like contract out a graphic designer to actually draw the person
Yep.
for your PowerPoint slide. Here is Raj. Raj loves sports. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. But yeah, I got out of that years ago, thankfully, because I couldn't take meetings
You
anymore.
know what's fascinating is a lot of that is now translating over into the audio format because
Hmm,
71% of podcasts are still consumed audibly, right?
sure.
And the when we remove our eyes, our visual intake, we actually expand our acceptability, our awareness, our ability to learn and grow because our visuals is what colors so much of how we perceive things. 80% of our perceptions comes from our optics, right? It comes in visually. And when you close that and you create an audio format, all of a sudden,
Mm,
so many preconceived limitations or ideations are gone. And we're seeing now how that's starting to kind of affect marketing
right.
because the funnels, like all these funnels, everybody's like, I'm going to build a funnel and it's going to produce X. Well, here's the reality. A good funnel is 10K. And I will tell you why. Is to get a single email, you got to go 7 layers deep. It is the craziest thing. But people are getting smart. And funnel reception from client to close, from
Mhm.
cold lead to client to close, is now less than 0.054%. So
Wow.
you got to do a lot of leads in
Right.
order to get one client. So you got to have a lot of money to pay Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
Zuckerberg
Yeah.
loves you. If you don't want to get out and actually network and do things and talk to people,
Sure.
Zuckerberg loves you, man. Just keep running those funnels.
Can I ask you a question about networking? Because you are like guru status when it comes to that. Because everyone show you've been on to, everyone, you make a good impression. All the other podcasts are like, oh my God, Kim, you're the greatest. But for someone starting out, networking can be absolutely scary. Not so much putting yourselves out there, but the mix of putting yourself out there versus putting the little nuggets of, yeah, I kind of do this if you're interested. You don't want to sell too hard the first time. You don't want to not mention it. What's been your mix? What's been your formula?
Well, don't sell. Never
Right.
sell. Always share. Always share. Follow the host guide, right? So be it on a podcast or a live networking event. And actually, here's the reality. Introverts can make the best networkers. They think they can't. But the reality is introverts are able to actually listen. Whereas extroverts like me are already thinking of the answer. I have to actually slow the roll so I can take what people are saying so I can connect. Introverts are really have this very fascinating skill around this. So if they can actually take any kind of speaking training or anything like that. Like, what's the free one that is global?
Duolingo?
Nope, not Duolingo. There's an
Babbel?
actual speakers group. Nope, not
Oh,
online.
Toastmasters. Help me out here.
Toastmasters.
Okay.
So every introvert that has a great product or service should absolutely do Toastmasters, because Toastmasters will teach them how to have those pull out of your pocket icebreakers.
Right.
And that's all an introvert needs to get an extrovert to talk. Right? All you need is one icebreaker. So I think that extroverts out there like me, I'm not picking on you, but learn to listen. That's the biggest challenge. Learn to listen, because it's not about you. If you
Right.
want to bring people into your world, it's not about you. It's how you can serve them. What's their pain point? What do they need? It's about them. And if you're an introvert, just go stacked with some really great icebreakers and let all the introverts talk.
What's
Or
an icebreaker?
extroverts
Like,
talk.
what's a natural one that doesn't sound like you're like doing an icebreaker, I guess. You know what I mean?
Well, icebreakers myself, I always look for unique aspects about each person. It could be
Okay.
something they have, because you don't want to walk up and your icebreaker be, what do you do? What do you do? What do you
Right.
do? What do
Right.
you do? Right? Because we're all working to be something more than what they do, what we do. Right? So looking for what are some commonalities? So for example, if you're in a city that is 3 weeks out from a major event, like a festival of some sort or a game of some sort, and it's the whole city kind of is buzzing about it, this becomes a great icebreaker. Hi, I'm Kim. You are? Super excited. Have you seen the festival lineup this year?
That's smooth. That is smooth.
That is a really great icebreaker, because it's somewhat of an open question. And then if they say yes or no, then be prepared for your next question or offer of information. If they say, yes, I have, then you say, what are you most excited about? And you just move it that way. Get them to share. Now you're finding out, do they like jazz music? Do they like punk music? Are they artistic? Are they, if they say, yes, I saw it, but I am not going anywhere near that. Great, no
Right.
problem. So what are you going to be doing instead? Are you headed off to an Airbnb in the next state over? Like, what are you doing? But it's about them. And that's what we forget. We're all wrapped up in, holy crap, I've got to make another $300 this month because my tomatoes are 30% higher at the grocery
Right.
store. And we're so freaked out over that we're not allowing people to share with us the opportunity. People will tell you everything they need if you just give them the opportunity. What do
Well,
you need, Flobo?
I need $300 because tomatoes are expensive. Like, I love pizza. I love sauce. You're not wrong.
When you're starting to eat your pizza, sans vegetables, meat, cheese, and sauce, basically you're down to bread and
Right.
pretending. Bread and water.
Bread and pretending. That's my pizza song. No, it's funny. I'm glad you say that, because I know when I first heard about icebreakers, and this is why I asked that. And I was starting on my DJ business, and I was scared, right? I was scared because I was pushed out of corporate America forcibly. This is actually in my book, but I was let go Thanksgiving Day one year, but it was right in engagement season. So I would call and I'd be like, "So, want to get married?" Like, I didn't know what to do, but that is way smoother. And I wish I had that technique years ago to help me out. So
Part of that's age. Part of that's age, and it's hard. I mean, it's rarely do we find Gen Zs that the people in their 20s that have these unique skills, and then we start seeing the real development in that in the 30s. And I think part of it is becoming really aware as to who we are, not what society is telling us, not what social media is telling us we should be, but who we really are. Because I think that in your 30s you're able to really start I think you really start understanding. You understand your mortality. You understand the timeline that you've been gifted with. And you really start thinking about, what do I really want to accomplish? But speaking of Gen Zs, oh my gosh, when I saw What's her name? I want to say Zarya, but I'm not sure if that's correct.
Zendaya?
Zendaya. Is that the owl from Duolingo?
Oh no, Zendaya is an actress.
No,
That was
no, no. The owl, the gal who actually is she does the owl for Duolingo, is 24 years old and has managed to make that bloody owl go viral so many times. And this girl was probably one of the sharpest Gen Zs that I have ever sat.
Zarya Parvez.
Zarya, okay, everybody needs to follow this gal. That was probably one of the most impactful conversations I have ever listened to on today's marketing. She's brilliant. She was brilliant. She made me feel really old, but she's brilliant.
Right. Yeah, that's mortality for you.
Oh, she was
And
hilarious.
shout out to you being Canadian saying Gen Z. The first time I was like, what does that mean? Oh, right. My parents
Gen
are West
Z,
Indian.
Gen Z.
My parents are West Indian immigrants, so it took me a minute to go, oh, yeah, that's British. That's British.
Yep. No, like I said, I've been here since 1994.
Oh, wow.
I've been here a long time, had my family here. I was a waitress in Vegas. Actually, I was a homeless waitress, single mom in Vegas, working at the Mirage Hotel when I met my husband, who's Canadian. And then I found out that Canada has like medical for everyone. And I'm like going, we're not staying here. I'm headed north.
Right.
Little did I know that 30 years later, I'd be here still with a freaking shovel.
Well, I mean, Canada's cold. Mirage actually is one of my favorite resorts, and it's sad that they're tearing it down. But like, if you don't mind me asking, was it like a business trip that your husband was in town for? Or?
Yeah, he was actually. My husband's super smart. He is. He's super smart, and he was there. So you know the big digital sign in front of MGM. When that digital sign went up, that was the largest digital sign globally. And my husband worked with the team that was doing digital integration within standard furniture or standard structures. So he's been on that. He was in that since the mid 80s. He actually their company was one of the competitors for Travelocity. So they lost out. They were like number 2 in the lineup for this the software developer that ended up taking Travelocity, which it was not called Travelocity at the time, but taking that and developing that into the tool it is now.
Wow, so that is something that was not in my notes, but I'm just so definitely curious. So you decided to go from the hot hills of Vegas, because Vegas is a whole everything, to the world of Canada, which again, it's a whole other world to me, quite literally, figuratively. But a lot of the things that are very American, personality wise, culture wise, stayed, persevered. And we're talking about before we went live today about like your approach to business, your approach to growing your business and yourself and your platform. How much of the American side of you still exists after being there for so long?
That Girl Scout is there every bloody day, and I do not give up. I do not give up. I do not expect anything for free. And I do not believe I'm entitled to anything. I'm here by the good grace of whatever you believe in, whatever higher entity you believe in. That's not for me to make that call, but I know I'm here through somebody's grace. And I just hustle every day, and I'm not afraid of the word hustle. When did this become a bad word? I'm not a hustler. I'm out here hustling every day working, and it doesn't matter if it's a record year where I'm cracking that 7 figures, or if it's in a new startup and I want to cry in the back of my closet because I don't understand the technology
in
order to get where. I know sometimes it is both. Sometimes it is both. I'm having a great call with a client, and then later I'm crying in my closet. I have a very large walk-in closet. So
respect.
But yeah,
I stretch out to cry. I love it.
That's where I go to cry. I don't want anybody to see me cry. I'm not a crier. I'm not a keynote speaker, because if I was a keynote speaker, I'd probably be crying all the time. So I just keep it short and quick. I'm good in short sprints. But yeah, I think that has been my true, everybody's using this word superpower, or, I think that's what really has helped me stand out in the Canadian market is I am not afraid to make my own economy. And I just want to put one thing out there, folks. For everybody who currently has a corporate job, if you are not right now, today, starting to build your personal brand, you will be in huge trouble when you are right sized, because companies, corporations are right sizing, not downsizing, right sizing every day of the week now. And I will tell you, I talk to women on this about, I go to women's corporate lunches and I talk to
Mhm.
them, what is your brand? And it's not the company you work for, because companies are right sizing left, right, and center. So that would be my challenge. If anybody takes anything away from this show, I want you to go. And if you have an employer, which is very awesome, because it's always awesome to build a brand while somebody else is paying your wage. It's the best way to do it. Go back and start tracking every bloody thing you've done, every event you've organized for your corporation, every deal you've saved, every creative solution that you've ever put in place, and start documenting the crap out of everything. And then go into your LinkedIn and put as a second underneath your corporate day job. You put, if you are a CFO, a CMO, or anything like that in your company, you put fractional. And you start setting that up so that when, and I say when because it's a high likelihood it's a win, baby. If you're over 45, you're just looking down the barrel. They are just, this is the truth of the economy. People have to work faster, leaner, and get stuff done. And that's the same with corporations. They've got people that they got to appease with earnings,
Mhm.
and they can't afford you to have these big salaries. So if you want that, you need to go and actually start setting that up and set the language yourself. And if you've worked 15 years for 3 different corporations and you've done amazing things, you need to make sure all of that is set up underneath your brand as a fractional whatever, or consultant whatever. Get it done today. So when you get laid off, you will have on LinkedIn 2 years, a year, 8 months, 3 years, whatever it be, from the time you set that up, you will be prepared. And you can say, by the way, I have 2.5 years as a fractional CFO. I've spent the last 6 years at this company full time. However, I want to bring my expertise to start up a mid-level companies so that they too can excel and grow. And that is how you transition. And you are no longer downsized. You've been right sized into the right opportunity. So there's my 2 cents.
I love the 2 cents there, but that just kind of raises the question, because there is the division of labor and being expertise. But you did mention the concept of personal brand, and I feel like that phrase is everlasting, but it has evolved over the past year, 5 years, 5 weeks, 5 hours. What does a personal brand look like today for someone who may have the expertise, but they might know how to leverage that into making them unique in the marketplace?
Well, first thing is, I had this opportunity of sitting through like 164 TEDx micro talks in the month of
Wow.
October. So it was an amazing experience. This one woman really stood out to me. She, like, super, super, super smart woman. She did not get downsized, right size. She owned the company, but I'm going to use her as a personality example. You get a lot of people who are in these really cerebral positions. So a chief financial officer, or in the finance space, or the HR space. And these are all very linear thinkers. The challenge is when you're transitioning to an entrepreneurial space, you need to be more than a linear thinker. You need to have the full creative and all these other pieces. What this gal has done is she challenged herself to do a TEDx training and do public speaking, because she is very, very much an introvert, and she knew that she needed to do that. So she did that so she could actually speak her expertise. A lot of people don't know how to bring their expertise down to like a grade 4 level.
Mm-hmm.
And that, by doing that learning to speak about it, she was able to bring it down to a grade 4 level. And your brand is not necessarily a logo or anything like that. It's owning your expertise and what you can speak on. That's your brand. And believe it or not, you already have a brand. Everybody has a brand out there. It's just who created it.
Right. That's damn. You can't be mic dropping so early in our show. What's going on there, Kim? Goodbye, everybody. It's been real. No, just no, but you're absolutely right. I feel like there is a bit of an intrinsic thing, but I know there's maybe someone may be cynical and be like, back when I was a kid, that was called personality and reputation. But it's more than that. It's a bit more nuanced.
No, it makes you. I mean, our SM small medium enterprise in North America now equates to like, I think it's like it's over the 90 mark now of local economy. It is the backbone, and it's only going to continue to grow through. I mean, we're in basically the age of the Renaissance in the sense that we've moved from manual labor, the industrial age, and now we're moving into this creative age.
Yeah.
And what an amazing time and opportunity. There's a lot of scary stuff. I spoke with my mom. She's still in Wichita, and I love her dearly. But she started telling me all about how we're headed for World War III and right. And I'm going, I said, World War III is not going to be fought by guns. We're seeing a lot of crap out there, and what's happening in Ukraine, what's happened in the Palestine and Egypt, like these, I get it. I'm not anybody who's listening to this. I have friends. Personally, Canada is actually a high refugee acceptance for people from Ukraine, and actually Alberta has one of the highest. It's a disproportionate number of Ukrainian immigrants. So, and a lot of my film crew is Ukrainian. So, I'm not discrediting this. However, the war is not coming via guns; it's coming through economy. And take a look what just happened at MGM and Caesar both got hit by ransom.
Oh, yes.
MGM ended up paying out close to $100 million to bring right and tight their system because they refused to pay the ransom. Caesar's paid the ransom, and they paid it like a $20 million ransom, right? That is the next war. That is the next war. Is that attack of finance, the attack of information, that type of thing. So, but yeah,
knowing half the battle is legitimate, I guess.
Yeah,
more than half the battle now. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So my mom's all about like, and there's all this shell game going on. We're going to keep my mom over here, who's absolutely going to vote next time, and we're going to keep her looking over here at all of our rights and the fear around all of this. She did not even know what happened with MGM and Caesars.
Right.
And it's like, this is massive. This is massive because for every one of these we hear, there's 1,000 medium-sized businesses that are being attacked. I know of a guy who he's in LA. He has a production studio that does VR integration.
Okay. Yeah.
And he got hit for $1 million.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Yep.
It's funny because I actually know someone that space too. I guess that's very LA, right? But that's tragic to hear. Did he pay the ransom or?
He paid it because they had to get moving fast because they were in a startup round funding. They couldn't have all their stuff locked down. So they found the money. They had to. I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
I know he got everything unlocked very quickly, or maybe he's just really smart, but I think he paid. So, but yeah, most people will pay. Be it 3,000, 5,000, 100,000, and that's literally what's going on. That's where it's being played out. That's dirty pool, man. That's dirty pool.
It definitely is, and thanks for bringing that attention to it because it did seem like because I'm a Vegas guy. I go to Vegas like 55 times in my lifetime.
I remember when the Stardust was brought down.
Oh yeah, they saw the sign, the Neon Museum. And I was a high roller, not because of the money I spent, because I just went like every month in the middle of the week.
You don't have children, do you?
Nope.
Do you have children? No. See, you can afford that stuff. I'm going to be poor the day I die because my kids have eaten me out of house and home.
It's true. I'm 38 years old. I'm still a growing boy. I'll have 2 steaks, please. But it was kind of swept under the rug. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I just saying.
Hold on. Have you ever gone to the Pepper Mill in Vegas?
Yeah.
I love the Pepper Mill.
That side room, the fireside room. I go there all the time.
Yes, fireside room. Just don't look at it in a black light. But
Yeah.
no
Oh, that
wrong.
too. Well, yeah. Don't do
That
that.
was where I had my second date with my husband, was in the Fireside Lounge.
Oh,
Yeah,
he was hook, line, and sinker then,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I would have a date then.
I
If someone
know,
could do it every meal.
I
Yeah, yeah.
everybody's like going, I am not buying their dating guide. I am not.
It works
Yeah,
every time. What
yeah.
gets you in there, it's like all moody. And what sold me was that Crown Royal Canadian whiskey, right? They had every flavor on the wall, and it was wintertime, so they had the salted caramel. Two of those, and I could have been married. to the waitress, to the bartender, to the server, everyone. I was like, yeah.
Now you know how Doug and I met. No.
Canadian whiskey, who knew? Yeah, this has been so much fun here on New Amsterdam Radio. But we have, before we get you out of here, we ask our guests a little bit kind of fun questions. Well, I think they're fun. Your mileage may vary. Are you down to play?
Absolutely.
Cool. Do you believe in days off? And if so, what do you do?
Do I believe in days off? You know what? When my kids were young, yes, I believed in days off because I needed to hibernate. Now I just listen to my body, and once every 10, 12 days, I'll crash. But I love what I do.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think I'm always working, but I'm seeking solutions and creating conversations. So I don't take a lot of days off.
Okay, I'm gonna steal that. Thanks. Creating solutions. Okay, write that down. What is the greatest gift you ever received from a fan of your work?
Oh, there's so many. I've been very, very blessed. Very blessed. I'll share. I just had Fred Fanchuk on a podcast with the Back to Business Calgary podcast, which I'm so fortunate to be able to be the host of. And it's the oldest business club here in Calgary. And Fred Franchuk showed up, and he offers a service to help seniors stay in place and age with grace, right? And it's a really cool program. And he brought me a Yeti mug, and he with the brand, and he goes, I am your number one fan. I've listened to every episode. I love what you're doing. You're the best. So that was the most recent. That one made me feel really good. And huge shout out to Fred. He is loving what he's doing, and he's helping people age with dignity. And some of the stories he shared, like, we're all going to face it with our parents, or we will be the parent someday, or the old person someday. And I'm glad there's Freds out there.
Yeah, I'm glad there's Freds out there too. That's really nice. What would you say is your favorite junk food if you partake?
Oh, I partake. Honey, I'm rocking 35 pounds more than I should. Does wine count as a favorite junk food?
I mean, it has like nutrients, I think. I don't think.
Okay.
It's a fruit
wine
salad.
and junk food. Okay, so I would have to say a good one here in Canada is poutine.
Oh yeah,
poutine.
Yeah.
I love poutine. Any kind of what we call pub grub we'll make here at home. That's the fried cheeses, anything fried, basically anything fried and wine is yeah. And did I mention wine?
Wine is pretty good. When I'm in Canada, I make sure to grab a case of steam whistle pilsner, but I always buy way too much, so I have to drink them all before I leave. And so that ends up being junk food.
There you go.
Shout out to steam whistle. Do you consider yourself a morning person or a night person? Both.
I would say I'm a little bit of both. I wake up excited. My husband is that guy. Have you ever seen those videos where it's like one person's like, don't talk to me, and the other person's like, hey, let's go do it.
Yeah.
That is my husband and I. My husband and I, he is like, he hides from me. So I'm not allowed to actually leave the bedroom for 30 minutes after he has left. So he can have 30 minutes to wake up and prepare. Because
right.
I come down, and because I'm one of these people, I'm crazy. I wake up at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm writing notes, or I go into my phone and I'll put it in my calendar. I need to do this, and this. And I'm just processing all night long. I'm processing. And I wake up and I said, hey, guess what? I found an idea for that calendar. We got this. And my husband's like,
you are Batman. You're just out there Gotham Citying the entire night. The city needs me.
Best thinking is the middle of the night. But yeah, best thinking is middle of the night for me.
Yeah, me too. But all the stores are closed. I'm like, oh man, if I had a grappling hook and a scuba diving gear, I could totally like. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. But so tough. Do you have? And our last question here: do you have a travel bucket list? And if so, where is on it? Where? Which one?
Travel bucket list. Okay, this is gonna sound odd, but
Calgary.
and I have huge bucket lists, but what I really want to do next, and I'm working right now to my goal would be 2024, 2025 to have a sponsor and be able to go in an RV across the United States and meet everybody I've interviewed in person.
Oh
And
wow.
that's, like go to Omaha, Nebraska. There's got to be cool stuff there. Go to all the places that I've met amazing human beings and get to actually spend a day with them, be able to make actual contact with them. And that would be come to LA and
Yeah.
and meet you and record that. And I'm just like, that whole connection and community piece. So that's my big travel bucket right now. And I'm just trying to figure out a way to finagle a sponsor out of that. And
Sure.
if I can connect it with doing different conferences along the way and meeting people. And then we'll start on Europe because I've had quite a few guests from Europe.
A lot of good wine bars out here in LA and California, Sonoma County and all that. So
Yeah.
Napa, yeah.
Yeah. When they say it's been dry, it's not because the weather's not raining. It's like, oh, Kim's been here.
And some lady in an RV that's going around town picking them all around. He's a
A
menace.
big pink RV.
Thanks so much for being on the show. I know you're super busy, and the fact you spent some time with me means the world. If someone wanted to connect with you, follow you online, just book you, how they go about doing that?
The easiest thing is to go to resilientnewmedia.com, and that's resilientnewmedia.com. I host several shows, but from that one point, you'll be able to find everything and connect with me.
The queen of resilience, right?
I am the queen of resilience. I actually have it tattooed right here on my arm. So every day
Oh
when I
wow.
write or do something,
Yeah.
if you ain't dead, if you're not dying from it, you can overcome it.